started to get the sum of, that was pretty much all the technical, so far, SIF related things we have dealt with. Now we get a little bit more into, okay, in real life, what else do you deal with? How is the frameworks helping you to deal with those situations? I'm talking a little bit about resource management. You have to be careful what I'm talking about with resource management. It could be a misleading term. So in that context, I really talk about how the framework manages its memory for large data sets, as well as multi-threading. I consider that a resource as well, because the more threads you have, the more resources your system might use up, if that's memory, connections, whatever you use underlying mechanisms. So these are the two things, right? On the publisher side, that's where you really might get memory issues if you deal with large data sets. Daily attendance. You know by now how many million records you're talking about. You can't load that into memory straight away. Your agent is going to spit the dummy. If you don't have a system with about 128 gig of memory and about 27 processors, it's going to struggle. You can't load 20 million into memory. So in that case, you have to do another mechanisms. The way that is solved with our frameworks, you've seen it, the iterators. It's then up to you. You still have your own responsibility how you do it underneath. At least you have a mechanism of an iterator and not of a list or something which has to be fully populated. You can use an iterator and read data at the time in batches if you need to, one by one from the database, through cursors, whatever mechanisms you might implement underneath, but you have the option. The iterator gives you the hook. On the subscriber, you do not have that sort of memory issue because the SIS holds all the messages for you. It gives you one message that needs to be acknowledged and then processed before it will ask for the next message. Now, a message in request response might have 20, 70, whatever number of objects in there. But the size of it is given by the buffer size, remember? 32K, 64K, 128, that's the ideal sweet spot. That's it. So that's about the memory requirement. And then it processes one message at the time with the hooks and the processes given by the underlying ADK, which have been flowing through the frameworks. Memory issue, really, with large records, occur on your provider and not on the subscriber. As I mentioned, these are the two iterators you use for request response. As I mentioned, it's still your responsibility how you implement the iterator. Of course, you can go on in an iterator in its constructor to select star from my entire database, load it into a list, and then iterate through that list. Then you have it loaded into memory again, right? You haven't solved your problem. So the iterator doesn't solve your problem, it just gives you the option to solve your problem. Make sure at the end you release, with these iterators, you release the resources you might have needed or required or acquired to deal with it. Typically result sets, data sets in the in .NET world, right? They actually hold connections to the database open while it iterates through it. So you have to release that potentially. There's a couple hooks to do that in your iterator called release resource. Right, there you do release everything once you're finished. The underlying, the SIF frameworks will call these iterators and they go, has next, has next, has next. When it's finished, you will call the release resource. It's not you don't have to do it. We'll do that for you. But you have to implement it.